This will be an unboxing and an overview of the Sony Xperia X dual SIM smartphone. Now, this particular Android phone was released by Sony in early 2016, and it has since been replaced again by more higher-end Sony flagships such as the Xperia XZ. But considering the price drops that happened to Xperia devices not soon after release, this is a pretty good deal at the moment, so I'm doing a video about it. Now, this phone was not exactly praised for its performance due to the inclusion of a Qualcomm Snapdragon 650 processor. It has 3 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of storage. It has a 5-inch 1080p display, which is super crisp at a 441 pixels per inch, so really dense. That's much higher than Retina. Most iOS devices are around 720p resolution with a similar sort of size. This is quite similar to the size of an iPhone 6, for example. Has a 23 megapixel camera that is located on the back here. This particular variant does have dual SIM trays. So you can either choose, as you can see in the little graphic here, you can choose between a nano SIM, so you'll need a small SIM card size, the size of your iPhone SIMs, or you can either choose with a SIM card and a micro SD. This does support micro SD expansion through the SIM tray here, up to 256 gigabytes, or you can choose to have 2 nano SIMs. On the front of the device, you can see that there are 2 front-facing speakers. One of which is obviously the earpiece, and then there's the regular microphone. Down the bottom we have a micro USB charging port instead of a Type-C. A Type-C connector would look like this. This is a Anker micro USB to Type-C adapter, so that would be completely reversible, whereas this uses micro B. It does support Qualcomm Quick Charge 2.0, so you can get about 60% charge in about 30 minutes or so. We've got the SIM tray here, as you saw in the diagram in the back. So your nano SIM goes in there, and then your micro SD or second SIM goes in this particular slot. It does have NFC. That's what this sticker on the front is here. You can remove this sticker. On the side we have a power button combo and fingerprint reader combination. Do note that the fingerprint reader does not work in US markets, allegedly due to patents and other sort of licensing that Sony can't acquire, although users around on various forums have been able to flash firmware from other markets, such as a US customer could flash firmware from the UK and would be able to have the fingerprint reader working because it's simply just done in software. So that might be something you might want to consider. Here we have the volume rocker, which also doubles as a zoom for the camera, and a dedicated camera shutter button that has 2-step functions. So it has a focus and then a full exposure. Up here we've got the front-facing camera, which is a 13 megapixel affair, and if we power on the device, you see Sony booting. This device was launched with Android 6.0 Marshmallow, but does have an official update to Android 7.0. Sony do tend to support their devices for also typically longer than other manufacturers, such as Samsung. Also, Sony phones, another good thing about Sony phones is they support unlockable bootloaders, so which, if you don't know what that means, basically you can install your own Android on the phone. So if you want to run your own, so just like with a desktop computer or a laptop computer, if you want to put your own Windows operating system, you want to put XP or Vista or Windows 7 or Windows 8 or Windows 10, you can basically do that with this phone. So we're at the power on state. Just going to skip through the setup here so we can get into the interface. This does support 802.11 wireless AC Wi-Fi, has Bluetooth 4.2 support, also has a built-in FM radio. For GPS support, it has regular GPS, which is American satellite system, it has assistance GPS, which requires mobile data to get a fast lock-on. It also has GLONASS, however that's pronounced, which is the Russian cosmonaut space program GPS system, and it also supports Baidu GPS, which is used in China. If you're in the US market, you won't have support for Baidu either. This phone does also have a technology called QNovo charging, which basically means that when you plug the phone in to charge overnight, it will learn your charging habits, so it won't overcharge or charge the battery up to 100%, because having a battery that's at 100% for an extended period of time wears out the life of the battery. So you can see there's the interface. It's a very bright display. Probably want to reduce the brightness a bit so you can see a bit better. So Sony's skin is pretty stock standard Android. They don't really add too much of it. It's pretty, non-bloated, although there is, in my opinion, too much bloatware on this device. As you can see, there's Facebook pre-installed, although you can disable it. There's an AVG protection, which is pre-installed, which really shouldn't be there. LinkedIn is pre-installed, shouldn't really be there. There's all the Google apps that you would expect on a device like this, as well as Sony's other proprietary apps. So they've got PlayStation apps, and they've got their own versions of gallery and album and video and various sorts of things. But generally, it's pretty vanilla. Another thing about this shutter button is if you press it, it does launch the camera. So that's a very quick way to start up the camera. It's a bit cloudy at the moment because I've still got the protected film on, because I will be covering this phone with a vinyl clear skin, basically a full body screen protector. So you can swap between video. It does support 1080p 60 FPS video. It doesn't support 4K, even though the chipset does support this. The phone has Category 6 grade 4G LTE support. So that's speeds of, I believe, around 300 megabits per second. If you would ever, get that from your particular carrier. It has a 2,620 milliamp hour battery, which is for a device that only has a sort of a mid-range processor like the Snapdragon 650. Typically, will give you a screen on time of around, based on various views, between 8, 9, 10 hours, which is quite acceptable. And the actual performance of the device doesn't seem to be, and isn't, based on the reviews I've read, isn't really degraded at all. Besides the phone and the box, you should probably check what the other accessories are. You've got these manuals and such in here. This is a sort of a UK standard power charger. So this expands out to here. So this is this goes into your power board or to your power outlet, and it allows these two pins to connect. So that's why this has to be here. So this is just a standard, very basic USB charger. This is a 5-volt output at 1.5 amps. So it's not a quick charging charger. Sony do sell Qualcomm Quick Charge 2.0 chargers. They vary in price upwards of probably $30 to $50, depending on the particular charger and how many ports it has. This particular unit does come with basic earphones. These are the Sony MH410C. There is the MH750s, which are, I think, a little bit more higher end. They actually have, instead of them just being regular earphones that don't have any silicone tips, the 750s have silicone adapters that you can use to adapt to different ear canals and actually go in the ear. Those are more in-ear monitors. And then here we have the standard USB Type A to Micro B charger. So you don't really have to worry about making sure you have a really high quality, expensive Type-C cable, because it's just Micro B. And that's all it is for the box. We can put that right back in here. We can go back to the device. If we look at the settings here, Sony have customized Android. Sony do contribute to the development of Android that every other carrier and manufacturer uses. So they recently, for Android, I believe 8, have included some higher quality wireless audio codecs and formats, so you can actually get better wireless audio. So that's been included in Android version. So this is on 6.0. This is the F5122, which is the dual SIM version. The single SIM version is the F5121. It's on the March 2016 security patch. So this obviously hasn't been updated in some time, because it is an early, April, announced in February, released around May 2016 device. And I think that's probably pretty much it for the basic device. Yeah, thanks for watching the unboxing and the brief overview of the Sony Xperia X dual SIM smartphone.